A privileged white state trooper purposefully ran into two, not one, two football players, college football players, purposefully, and he was able to walk away free. We all know what would have happened if it was the shoe on the other foot. Let's watch white privilege in action. Let's just, for all the people that say it doesn't exist, let's just watch it in action.
That is track speed.
Let's see that again. Let's back that up, because maybe I'm missing something. Let's watch this white privilege in action again. I want you to notice how the cop, watch how the cop kind of winds up his shoulders right before he bumps into him.
That is
What? How do we not address this? Like, how is this acceptable? How can you just run into two people and not get charged with assault? Because we all know what would have happened. We all know what would have happened if those football players had intentionally ran into a cop. There'd be conservatives and Republicans talking about how black people are animals. We need to go back to the zoo, talking about, see, this is why white people need to get away from black people. But on national television, you can watch the people that are supposed to be the protectors of the society, the untouchables, the blue wall where, you know, they can do no wrong, qualified immunity, those people. We can watch him essentially assault two people on TV and then pretend that he's the victim. This is privilege. This is the uncomfortable privilege that nobody wants to talk about, aka people on the right. And, you know, I'm not one of those dudes. I'm not really on the left. I'm not really on the right. I'm sort of in the middle. I'd like to think critically about the issue and then make an interpretation and decision based on that. I'm not over here like cheerleading for Trump. I'm not cheerleading for Kamala Harris and the Democrat Party. So I'm looking at this from a more objective lens. And what I can tell you is that this is not acceptable behavior. And I want that same energy. I want that same energy from the people that were talking about that black man on the train and trying to generalize and say that this is how all black people act, the one that ended up stabbing that white girl. I want that same level of energy, and I want you to generalize this behavior to all white people. Generalize it to all white people, because that's what you do with black people. Generalize this white supremacist behavior to all white people, because I don't see how this is anything other than privilege, how you believe that you can walk into two people on purpose and not apologize and then pretend like you're the victim. That's right out of the book of white supremacy, right? That's the slave owner acting like they don't know why the slave trying to escape and then acting like they the victim when the slave turn around and punch them in their face because they act like, when are we going to acknowledge that this privilege exists? Now, is it an excuse for you as a black person to go out and not try and blame all your mistakes on other people? No. But it is just an illustration that we live in a society where these things are acceptable. Come on, bro. There's no way that you can tell me that if this was a black officer running into two white football players, that they wouldn't have his neck on the chopping block. That conservatives and Republicans wouldn't be out here trying to say, look at racism, white people getting treated bad. Because you know that Republicans and the conservatives are now the party of racism, not in terms of being racist, but the ones that are throwing racism out there. They're the ones that are now saying that white people are facing racism. Whenever something happens between a black person and a white person now, they highlight it and say, see? Racism, this was racism. You even have people like Officer Tatum, for those of you who may not know. Officer Tatum, when something happens between a black person and a white person, he is a black commentator, political pundit that will get online and say that black people are acting racist towards white people, but he never has that same smoke for white people when they act racist towards black people. I just find it very hypocritical that not only he does it, and I say him because, you know, I watch some of his content, and it's interesting to me when black people will stand up and show out for white people when there's some racism that may be happening towards them, but they don't do it when it's against black people. I just want that same energy. Like, is America racist or not? Because I keep hearing that America's racist towards white people when it comes to Republicans, and I hear that America's racist towards black people and other people when it comes to, Democrats. I just want to know, are we dealing with a racist society? Because that's what this conversation, based on what I'm hearing online, has turned into. That's what it's turned into. Now, do I personally think that this state trooper is racist? I don't know. I don't know him. Maybe he was having a bad day. But what I can tell you is it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I just don't like that. I don't like that you can run into somebody and it looked like it was on purpose. You can run into them and act like you're the victim. Because I'll tell you this right now. If they believed, that state trooper, that those black students ran into him on purpose, they would have been on the ground. I don't give a damn if this is a football game. They would have been on the ground. They would have been getting arrested. They would have been targeted by the media on the right. This would have been a whole news story in the other direction. So we got to stop pretending like this doesn't exist. We all know, like, what goes through our minds when we see something like this. It was totally unacceptable. Now, a deeper conversation people are having is, should this state trooper be fired? Should this state trooper be fired? Now, listen, I'm not one to advocate for somebody losing their job all like that. I think that's a serious offense. Do I think that he shouldn't be able to take care of his family and that he should lose, his livelihood? Not necessarily. I'm using this as a topic to open up a broader conversation, but him personally, like I said, he could have just been having a bad day. He could have just been zoned out, not paying attention. I don't like how he turned around and tried to play victim and make it seem like he didn't do what he just did. But ultimately, if there is accountability to be held, he needs to be held accountable, because if he's acting like this on TV, how is he acting in his own personal line of duty? Now, I know that could be a stretch and a slippery slope. All I'm saying is that if you have the confidence to go and do that on TV, and you have the confidence to go and do that when, it's this type of situation, I may not trust you when you're pulling somebody over at 9 o'clock at night and maybe you turn your body camera off. You know why? Because there's consequences to these things. There's consequences. Somebody may not see their family no more because you having a bad day. Somebody may not be able to kiss their son or daughter because you having a bad day. So do we get out in front of it before it turns into something deeper, or do we give the benefit of the doubt? I'm on the side of maybe give the benefit of the doubt in this situation. There was nothing too bad. We can't clearly say that it was racism. We can't clearly say that this dude is off hinge. But what we can say is that this type of behavior definitely needs to be addressed internally, and that we should not be given passes. And I think that cops need to be held to a higher standard than the general public. And if you are abusing that power and you are using that as a way to abuse people and assault people because you can get away with it, shame on you, and you need to go to prison. You need to do time. You need to be held accountable. Because I'm telling you, people's lives are being ruined because cops lie all the time. Cops are lying saying you resisted. Cops are lying saying that you attacked them. Cops will have you going through a whole court proceeding because they know that it's going to take time and resources, and they may be vindictive. So when we do catch behavior like this, they need to be made an example of. They need to be made an example of. I'm sorry it's you, but you might need to be made an example of for the greater good of society. Because as many people as y'all arrest and get on these charges and do these things when you don't necessarily have to, and you go looking for crime and people's lives are upheld, I don't feel bad when it happens to a cop either. Just like y'all say we shouldn't feel bad for the people on the streets when their life is uprooted because they're accused of something that maybe didn't happen in the way that they say it happened, or whatever the case is. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Info's in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all, and I will see you in the next video.